Over the last 50 years, using traditional Western medicine and health insurance, we were all conditioned to think that our doctors would manage our health, that they made all the decisions, they were checking our blood work and would tell us what to do to keep us healthy. So as we all know, that whole model didn't really pan out. We need to completely throw out that old model from our psyche and realize that this entire system is there to help us manage disease and injury, not keep us healthy. Pharmaceutical companies, doctors, hospitals, and health insurance are incredibly effective at keeping us alive when we are sick, but we cannot expect this system to take care of our health and avoid disease in the first place. Today's solo-sode is part 2 of obtaining a new mindset around your health and longevity. The title of this episode is Becoming the Boss of Your Biology. So what exactly do I mean by this? Being the boss of your biology means taking control over your body's health, performance, and longevity through proactive choices and behaviors. It involves the understanding of how your genes, environment, lifestyle, and habits affect your biology and making informed decisions to optimize all these factors. This includes areas like diet, exercise, sleep, and stress management, but also it includes using cutting-edge health interventions like supplements, like functional testing, and personalized medicine. Ultimately, it's about becoming empowered to make choices that influence how your body functions and ages, rather than passively accepting your biology as something that's out of your control. It aligns with the idea that while we might have certain genetic predispositions, our everyday actions can profoundly impact our health outcomes. Our genes are only 20% of our health. It's so much more. There are 3 components of becoming the boss. Part 1 is around creating a team that will help you run your health. Part 2 is understanding the KPIs, or the key performance indicators of your health. And part 3 is learning about a concept I like to call N of 1, which is how you can work to hyper-personalize all of the research to you. So let's talk about creating a team around your health first. As the boss of your biology, just like being a boss at work or of your own company, you have a team of people who work under your guidance and supervision, helping you run the company. Notice, I said under your guidance and supervision, which really means that you personally need to understand the components of your health and use this team to achieve your ultimate goals. Over the last 50 years, using traditional Western medicine and health insurance, we were all conditioned to think that our doctors would manage our health, that they made all the decisions, they were checking our blood work and would tell us what to do to keep us healthy. So as we all know, that whole model didn't really pan out. We need to completely throw out that old model from our psyche and realize that this entire system is there to help us manage disease and injury, not keep us healthy. Pharmaceutical companies, doctors, hospitals, and health insurance are incredibly effective at keeping us alive when we are sick, but we cannot expect this system to take care of our health and avoid disease in the first place. So what does this health-focused team look like? Well, for starters, it begins with you. Learning and understanding the different components of your health, how you can affect them, and what works for you. No one will care more about your own personal health than you do. This is what this podcast is all about. Empowering you to take care of you. The most important part of this process is accepting personal responsibility for our own health, and for most of us, knowing that we have the ability and the responsibility to reverse our diseases, to achieve optimal health, and to stay that way for the long term. We are at the beginning of an entirely new healthcare system forming, one that is focused on disease prevention, personalization, and proactive participation. Usually, this team that we're making consists of a functional medicine practitioner, a knowledgeable health coach or nutritionist, a therapist to work on mental health, personal trainers, and physical therapists if needed. All of these trained professionals look at your health through a totally different lens. They are not there to diagnose a disease and to treat it with a pharmaceutical. They're there to help you achieve optimal health through positive habits and help you avoid the Western medical system completely. How does your primary care physician fit in all of this? Well, I would look at him or her as a bridge between these two worlds. Someone that can help you utilize your insurance to obtain necessary lab tests, or someone to reach out to when you are sick with an infection. Someone who can help you keep up with your cancer screenings and get prescriptions you need for the time being while you attack the root causes of disease and hopefully get away from the pharmaceuticals at some point in the future for the long term. Although this health-focused team might sound expensive, in reality, through the power of the internet, most of us have the ability to access practitioners through apps and telemedicine. Some Googling time will help you find someone that fits your budget and your expectations. I will introduce you to various tools, apps, and services that can fulfill all of these roles for you throughout this entire podcast series. Part 2 of this new way of thinking is to consider yourself as a CEO of your own health. A CEO of a company looks at the data on a regular basis to make informed and strategic decisions on where the company needs to make adjustments. These pieces of data, also known as key performance indicators, could be numbers such as the company's revenue or company's profits or number of employees. A good CEO looks at these numbers daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. A good CEO is also benchmarking these numbers to what is considered optimal to gain the most success for the company. A good CEO knows that a small adjustment done daily can add up to massive long-term value. A good CEO would never look at these numbers only once a year and only start to do something when the company's about to go bankrupt. But if you really think about it, most of us run our health in this way. Most of us have no idea what the numbers we should be watching for our health are, let alone when they are headed in the wrong direction. It's also important to know that just because you feel good doesn't mean that your biology is in good shape. In my clinic, we see professional athletes all the time. These athletes are at the top of their game. However, often their overtraining and their poor nutritional habits over the years has led to massive amounts of inflammation, metabolic disease, and gut disorders that have gone unrecognized until we take a look under the hood of their health by checking their blood tests. So how does this even happen? Well, our body is incredibly resilient, and it doesn't show us symptoms that something is wrong until it's in a disease state, often 20 to 30 years after a change in our biomarkers. This is why we can't rely on how we feel to really know if our health is headed in the wrong direction, and we need to be able to see what is going on early and frequently. The good news is it is now relatively easy to spot a problem by using simple technology and blood tests. There are 6 items I have all my patients obtain to start their journey of becoming the boss of their biology. These are, number 1, a bioimpedance scale. Number 2, a blood pressure cuff. Number 3, some type of wearable device that tracks activity, sleep, and recovery. Number 4, a continuous glucose monitor. Number 5, a grip dynamometer. And number 6, a simple set of blood tests. Let's go over each of these in detail and why they are important for you to own one of each for your home. A bioimpedance scale can be obtained for less than $20, and it does not need to be fancy. There are many brands out there like Renpho, InBody, and Withings. I have no direct relationship with any of these companies, but I have tried them all, and I actually found the Renpho to be an economical and major help in tracking 3 key biomarkers: skeletal muscle mass, body fat, and visceral fat. We'll go into detail on all of these in future solo-sodes, but note, I did not say weight or BMI. BMI and weight are not nuanced enough for you to make some key decisions around your diet, exercise, and sleep routines. Bioimpedance scales use a mild electric current to get you these measurements. Most people that have trouble losing weights are under-muscled and have no idea. Most weight loss diets end up having you lose as much muscle as fat, which is counterproductive. These are some of the concepts that we will review soon enough in the future. Check the show notes for links to buy these scales and a guide for using them accurately. Number 2 item is a blood pressure cuff. Almost 50% of people have high blood pressure, and half of these are undiagnosed, and almost all of these are undertreated. In our clinic, we are seeing young adults as young as 18 years old with high blood pressure. High blood pressure and metabolic disease go hand in hand, and both can lead to heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and Alzheimer's. It's critical for everyone to check their blood pressure monthly, at home, with proper technique. Most of us get a blood pressure check once a year at our doctor's office, which is one of the most unreliable measures of blood pressure you can get. You're stressed, the person taking your blood pressure is stressed and in a rush, and it's only done one time. This leads to ignoring a high blood pressure diagnosis and treatment occurring 10 to 20 years too late. Do yourself a favor and get one of these cuffs that I mentioned in the show notes. They're also under $20. It can help you avoid the silent killer, as many of us doctors refer to it. Number 3 is a wearable device. Wearable devices have gotten better and more accurate over the last decade, and we have all of our patients get one. All the good ones give you sleep, movement, and recovery data. We can debate all day long about the accuracy of the data, but what's more important than one point of accuracy is the trend, and associating with that how you feel and your overall health. Having this instant data daily that you can look at any time and make observations on how your daily habits are affecting your numbers is critical for doing N-of-1 experiments on yourself, as I'll talk about later. A caveat here is that some people's personality is such that they get stressed out about their daily numbers, and too much data leads to anxiety. To those people, I say, use the wearable for 4 to 6 weeks only as you're trying to make changes. Then, when it is leading to too much anxiety, just take it off for a while until you're ready to test another intervention. Oura rings, Apple Watches, Whoop bands, Fitbit trackers, all have their pros and cons and different price points. With some being less than $100 and others with good Amazon reviews being less than $50, almost everyone should be able to get one. Many employers also offer wearables through your insurance. I would look into getting one as they truly empower you to take control of your health. Number 4 is a continuous glucose monitor. This is a game-changing new device that I believe can change the health destiny for our entire population. This is a tiny patch you put on your upper arm that lasts about 2 weeks. It sends data to your phone about what your glucose levels are. Why is this important? Well, because most of our glucose levels are unmanaged and out of control and all over the place, day after day after day. This is what leads to metabolic disease, a condition affecting 90% plus of all Americans. Metabolic disease is the root cause of not only diabetes and obesity, but also heart disease, cancer, autoimmune disease, and much more. In 4 to 6 weeks, we can learn how to completely eliminate the daily damage to our metabolism, which can dramatically reduce your chance of developing all of these diseases in the first place. Number 5 is a grip dynamometer, another less than $20 device that tests your grip strength, which is a proxy of overall upper body strength. This is something I see sneak up on almost 75 to 80% of my patients. Loss of strength. Not having enough muscle strength and muscle mass is the number one reason that we age. Maintaining good muscle mass and strength is going to be a central theme of this podcast, and you will be able to track this proxy by using this device. Number 6 is a group of blood tests that everyone should understand and why they're important and what they can do to optimize the levels. These are markers of metabolic health, hormone levels, inflammation, nutrients, and cholesterol. Over the course of this podcast, you will learn why they're important and, more importantly, not just the level that diagnoses disease, but what you should aim for as an optimal level. The earlier and more frequently you check these levels, the sooner you can right the ship and move your habits in the right direction to avoid disease. The side effect here is truly the ability to feel incredible. Keep fat off and maintain a vibrant and active lifestyle well into your older years. The podcast show notes will give you the ability to download a list of these markers and also a spreadsheet to track them. I recommend you starting to follow your biomarkers in your 20s and do it every 4 to 6 months as a minimum. Your doctor should be able to order these for you and run it through your insurance. You can also find them online using companies like Function Health or clinics like Next Health. Don't worry, there are only about 10 to 12 markers that I think everyone should know and follow. Lastly, let's talk about the concept of N of 1. So what does this mean? Well, if you follow any health information podcasts or social media channels, you've heard of medical research studies. Medical research has a hierarchy of how good the evidence is. At the bottom of how good a study is are the observational opinions. As you move up the ladder, you hear about randomized clinical trials, where researchers look at different groups of people and report results as to what works for most of them. A meta-analysis then uses statistical math to combine the results from many of these studies. These are considered the best of medical research. So what's the problem with all of this? Well, what is reported is what worked for the average person in the study, the person in the middle. In reality, most data falls on the bell-shaped curve. Look at the show notes to see what this looks like, but statistically, if you look at most data, many people fall in the middle. But there's a percentage of people that are far away from the middle, and there's another percentage of people that are outside there even further, on the extremes. So which are you? There's no way to know unless you try the interventions on yourself. This is the reason certain medications don't work for some people, or intermittent fasting or keto is a game changer for some and actually causes negative effects for others. You are an N of 1, meaning we need to hyper-personalize all the recommendations for your biology. How do you do this? You use your data that you collected with the scales, wearables, blood tests that we spoke of earlier. Using this data, you become a scientist on your own biology. Now you can assess if intermittent fasting reduces your markers of metabolic disease or does it decrease your muscle mass. Now you can test, does melatonin help your sleep or disrupt it? Does breathwork help your HRV more than meditation? This is what I consider effective biohacking, testing these interventions on yourself one at a time to see what works. And remember, just because something doesn't work for you or does work for you doesn't mean it'll work the same for your family and your friends. This is exactly the reason why I get irritated when influencers speak about a particular diet or intervention as though it works for everyone. Life is nuanced and everyone is different. The only way you'll be able to sort through all the noise is to become the boss of your own biology. Changing your mindset, getting your biomarkers, and then starting to do N of 1 experiments on yourself. I can virtually guarantee you will make massive changes in a few months of rinsing and repeating this pattern.